balance and wholeness, supreme knowledge, supreme wisdom, harmony, guidance, a single eye full of light. Remember, repair. Eternal gratitude, eternal love, forevermore. All right. Miset to all the beloved across the room. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone is accessing the well of living waters. Okay, as I always tell you, there's no fear except the fear that we operate with is fire, earth, air, and rivers of living water. We have no scared energy, only sacred energy. Okay, and we are repairing and restoring the balance. That's why you are here. I do not have the authority to tell you exactly the details of why you're here and, in minute fractions, but I am able to tell you that you are here for this purpose, or you would not be particularly coming to teachings like this. So just wanted to share that. The reason I didn't come on, I seen a lot of people, more than usual, kind of like asking me, I thought you said, Chief, I thought you said you was coming on yesterday. I was about to, but it was placed on my heart to let their part one marinate, okay, for another 24 hours to allow more to see it, to allow it to edify even those that may have watched it live who didn't, may have to go back and watch it again. Sometimes, some occasions, one may have to write notes before they truly are edified. It's one thing hearing it, it's another thing listening to it, but it's another thing being edified by it. Okay. So it was placed on my heart to allow it to remain for just an extended moment, to allow others to have a chance to watch it instead of just jumping right on the part two, being kind of behind. So here we are, part two. As always, once again, Miset for all those that are coming in. If you don't know what that means, it's love, balance, and wholeness be within you and all that you love. Okay. Now we're just going to jump right into it. Normally I wait until there's at least 100, 150, but we'll jump right into it. So, because I really cannot remember exactly where we left off, so I'm just going to get it going. Basically, what I can recall is I was explaining how not only did was Saturn called Chronos, Saturn is also called Kairos, okay, which is similar to Chiros, which is where they get the word Christos. So here we have Saturn, who you've been told through Ra Legion is basically where they get Satan from. Okay. That word Satan comes from a mixture of set and on. Okay. Set on. Which was really became a thing with the Hyksos. This was after the age of Taurus, when the calamity, the closing out of the age and the changeover event was happening. Everyone was running every which way, and they came in, and the Hyksos kind of like just tried to take over where the Tamarans or the people that you call themselves Kemeticists or of the land of Kemetic try to take over where they left off, and they were lost in the sauce, didn't know anything really, so that their leaders started just saying, hey, this person, this deity, let's just intertwine this deity with our deity called this. Okay, so Set at one point it became intertwined with Baal Hadad, and Lord Hadad and all of that, which also goes back to ancient Sumer. So they carried all these different factions and groups carried all these mythos with them. It's just whoever their leaders were, it determined which way the energy went. That's just exactly, that's what it is. Same thing today, whoever and they're not even real leaders, but I guess on the stage, the leaders in the theater are kind of really the ones that are funding them, are determining where they want to go with the energy. The beautiful thing about where we're at in this moment is the age of Aquarius is the age of bearing the water yourself. It's going from the age of believing something, okay, the age of being a worker ant, to the age of knowing and essentially claiming back your godhood. That's what it is, and most can't fathom that, and a lot of people who were brought in when it was all Piscean energy, especially beginning in 2019, as I explained in part 1 about the great conjunction that happened in Scorpio in 2020, when they did this, exactly lined up with that Saturn and Jupiter conjunction, but it wasn't in Pisces for the messianic figure. It was in Capricorn or Scorpio. I deal with so much. You're probably one of you all probably can recall right now, but it's on part 1. I believe it might have. Yeah, it was Capricorn. I believe. Yeah, it was. The great conjunction was in Capricorn. Yes, December 20th. Which is not. I don't believe. Is that Capricorn? In the zodiac, might be still Sagittarius, possibly. No, that would be Capricorn, I believe. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. So we have a little dilemma here, where we have the Greeks calling Saturn, not only everyone has heard Chronos, which actually means chronological time. It means time itself. So they're allowing you to know that, hey, Saturn is emanating the frequency of time. Okay. It's even on the cycles, and the story of Christ is based not on internally, it's based with the 33 vertebrae rising, the pituitary gland, which is the milk, and the pineal gland, which is the honey. Okay, the queen's chamber and the king's chamber in the Great Pyramid externally. All right, releasing the secretion down the 33 and back up in a vacuum. Okay, to the crossing, to the place of Golgotha, which is the place of the skull. Okay, where they tell you Christ was crucified. Thief on the left brain, masculine energy, who mocked him and used logic and said, this dude ain't nobody. He deserves to die just like us. He's a clown. And then you had the thief on the right, who said, look, I don't know who you are, man, but I believe you. And just please, wherever you go, and take me with you. He said, this day you shall join me in paradise. Because the thief on the right represents the feminine energy, the imagination, the wisdom that's not logical, the wisdom that can't be explained to somebody who's asking you why, or tell me how, show me what you're gonna do, this and that, and break it down to me. And what book? Where'd you read this? Give me some. I need a bibliography. You know, that's the left brain, all masculine energy, all on a line, masculine. The feminine energy, where all creative energy comes from. See, the masculine energy can only create order out of chaos. That's why they give you the story that the Great Mother is chaos energy, the primordial energy, and that, you know, the Father is the order or the light that comes to the darkness, and then the Great Mother is matter, and the Father impregnates the Mother, so the Mother is just solid, just, you know, just a blob of primordial goo, slime, waiting for the Father or the architect to come mold it and all this and that. Essentially, that is what has happened, but they're misleading you with the Great Mother. It's not a blob and this and that just can get molded. It's the imagination that they tell you that the light, that the darkness can't fathom the light, but it's actually the opposite. And I'm not talking about good and evil. That's what you got to get that indoctrination out of your head. Now, the preacher on the corner, if you're speaking to them, then you know that's what they mean. When we're here in this school, because that's where you're at. You're in a school and you're in a community. It's both. Okay. The physical community is in, right? It's in action. All right. It's just like a snowball rolling downhill. Once it reaches critical mass, is what we call it. It will flip, and the next flip will be the move where I'll be contacting certain individuals. It'll all be great spirit led, and we will have a community off grid. Everything is already trust. Just trust. Okay. Don't worry about the plasma event coming and all that. That's all already. It's all been unveiled already. Okay. I am not anyone's boss. I am not anyone's master or anything. You know, people do call me master teacher, a master teacher. You know, I don't mind that, but I'm not you're in any way higher than you in any shape, form, or fashion. We are all the same. You are I, and I am you. And we are only as strong as the weakest of us. Okay, we're only as wise as the most foolish of us. And we must remember this. Okay. That's why we cannot just be on some solitary mission and thinking that, you know, screw them. You know, they don't get it. If they don't get it, then you still should be teaching them, but only use words when necessary. Actions speak far louder than words. Okay. And anything that's worth showing and telling needs to be rooted. Okay. And that takes patience. It's not overnight. We're not putting it in the microwave. We're not eating TV dinners any longer. We're even growing our own food. We're not even going up to the grocery store and doing the organic thing any longer. We are growing our own food. Okay, that's where we're at with it. Does it take longer? Does it take more discipline? Yes, that's where we're at. That's the atone. That's what we're here to anchor in. No matter who is deemed to be here for the next age, whether you decide you want to come here and experience it or you want to rest. As I always tell you, the Great Mother is the origin of eternal soul, life, light, and rest. No, who else has ever told you that? No one ever tells you about the rest part. Okay, because everyone's so infatuated with living forever and just all, this and that. That is the elites. Okay, they want to rule. That is all masculine energy, the ruler gods. They're not creators. They're architects. That's why they have the Masons and all that. And they hijack that. The only master Masons are women. The only true master Masons in this realm are the womb man. Master Mason is Ma. Okay? So if anybody claiming to be a master Mason, it's all fraudulent. It's all fake. The women here are the only master Masons. They're the only ones that can make temples without any tools being heard, i.e. 2 Kings in the Bible, when Solomon, soul of man's temple, is being built without any tools being heard or any nails or hammers or banging or anything. And we know that God dwelleth not in temples made by man's hands. So therefore, who is the true master Mason? The Ma. Okay, the womb man. All right. The man can only be a Mason, Ma's son. Okay, the seed of the mother, i.e. Emmanuel. And we all have the Christos, or the Christ, meaning the anointed, the water of the Great Mother, including the womb man here. You are anointed by the waters of the Great Mother. And that's what it is. All right. So, all that Illuminati nonsense, the biggest secret of the Illuminati is that you're the Illuminati. So all these truthers that, they use the word Killuminati and all these little, and this and that. No, it's not Killuminati. What, you don't want to, you don't want to be, you don't will to be balanced and whole, aka enlightened, because that's the fifth stage of the tour of the purge. The only thing higher than enlightenment is inspiration. And that's in spiral, light spirals, okay, at ions. So it's when you have your ion and you're just become inspiration for all, even in silence. Okay, that's the highest level. That's beyond enlightenment. Okay. That's what you call the crown of the Great Mother. All right. So the biggest trick really is that you are the Illuminati. All right. You're the enlightened one. That's a fact. They're they're separated. Okay. That's why they need your light. They need your light to be enlightened. They want to see what you're going to call everything. We set the trends. We make the dances. As the old saying, We can dance and they can't. And that's not just for a skin color. That's for soul. Because soul got the A tone, the heartbeat. And then somebody come in with the symbol, you know. Somebody come in with the rattle. And that's the verse. That's the you and I verse. The new song that is getting ready to get played here. So, and it's already beginning. We just rehearsing. See, they call a hearse. What they call a hearse when you traveling to the graveyard? No, we're rehearsing. We're getting ready. We ain't getting ready to die, because all dying is going DYING, like DYE. When you dye a shirt, tie dye. That's all that is. It ain't death. All right. You just transfer into a different vibration of light that can't be seen with these lenses. As I told you in part 1, the lenses we got can only see virtual images. These eyes cannot see real images. The reptilian eyes and the cat eyes, why do you think they always say cats can see interdimensionally and this and that and reptilians and all that? Because that particular lens that looks like you know what I'm talking about, like a little slit, that can see real and virtual images, but the real images are inverted, meaning upside down and backwards. Okay, these lenses, you can't see anything real. That's why you have to see with your eyes single and full of light. That's where that comes in at. That's the use that it has. That's not the end goal. See, that's their end goal. That's as high as they can go, because they can't get the crown from the Great Mother, because the umbilical cord of the greatest of spirit is cut. That's why it says that about the seed of the mother shall fatally bruise the head of the serpent. It's because they talking about the Kundalini. That, okay? Kundalini is not the same as the Christos, so don't be deceived by that. Kundalini is duality. That's still duality, okay? Two serpents going up the back and all that stuff, and they tell you, oh, it's just your DNA, and it's not. Nah, that DNA has to do with this. Now, the real light code is stored in the mitochondria, which is deep within that. Has nothing to do with the two strands and all that. The real light code is in the mitochondria, would only get passed down through the mothers. We have it, the men have it, but we can't pass it on unless we have a daughter. Okay, only women can pass on the mitochondria. All right. So we have a dilemma here of sorts, where we got now Saturn is being called Kairos or Tyros, the same thing as Christ. So and they tell you he was put on a cross. The cross is an unfolded cube. It's a 2D cube. That's all it is. It's flattened. Okay. It's opened, basically, like an envelope. You opened up the cube. Now, I did a teaching on this years ago about how actually the Christic energy actually defeated the cube, defeated Saturn. That's what that whole thing was about. Okay. But here we can see there's a hijacking taking place. All right. So, excuse me, my back. My back has been hurting. Okay, so also Saturn is called Qiyun, or Chi-un or Chi-un, which basically is un-chi, okay? And chi is also where it has to do with the Christos. Chi-ro is the name before Christos. Christos came before Christ. So you have the most recent is Christ, then Christos, and then Chi-ro, okay? Well, Saturn was called Chi-un or Chi-un, okay? That's just un-chi. So that's just like saying antichrist. So it's taking your chi. All right. It had un-chi means to un-chi you, to take your chi. Okay. This is the story of the Gnostic story of the archons, siphoning your energy, loose. Okay. Any fear, division, any friction, any spiritual friction at all. Okay. That's why our energy has no sharp lines. It's all curvature. Our energy is all curvature. And the 0 point is down here. You emanate from your heart, but the 0 point is where you would call your solar plexus, because that's where the edification occurs. So that's where the energy is released, just like how the focal point of the sun energy is released there during the day. The energy is released upward from your solar plexus. Okay, it's not where the soul resides, it's where the edification resides, the nutrients for your soul, that the battery, okay, that's shining up from here. That's why if you look at the true, not the hijacked paintings, the true before they got hijacked, the Buddhists and the monks and everything, when they're sitting, in there sitting with their, how they hold their leg. I don't know what that position is called, but when they're sitting meditating and they do the hand symbol and they'll hold a hand. You can't see it because of the camera right now, but they'll hold their hand down here by their belly button. Okay. That is the original symbol of the 0 energy, the chi energy. Then they started doing, now when I do this hand symbol, okay, I've already explained to you what that means. All right. That is the sacred feminine right here with the circle, and the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. The two become one on one hand. I'm not holding up another hand pointing down. So I got two. That's division. Now you got the divine masculine, divine feminine, and you got it going both ways. That's the Ka and the Ba, which they also hijacked because that was the original name of Eve. All right. Cabba. All right. It's spelled Chava, but it was pronounced Cabba. Okay, that's also the Egyptian Ka, and the Ba is Isis or Isis, aka Osiris, All-Set and All-Sar. Okay, AU beginning on both is gold. Okay, so All-Set was Isis. That means her gold is even. She's balanced. Her golden light was balanced. All-Sar means trying to rule the gold ruler. That's Osiris. He's trying to rule. Sar or Czar always has meant ruler. Okay. So like Caesar, that's where Caesar comes from. The word Caesar comes from. The Caesar. When they began traveling, the Phoenicians and all began traveling on the sea, they became czars of the sea, rulers. Okay, this word is still used today in dynastic empires and things of that nature, and even in Far East, everywhere. Okay, so Osar is the Kemetic or Tamarian name for Osiris, is the ruler of the gold and the golden light, the ruler. Okay, All-Set or Isis is the one that has the golden light balance. Okay. And a whole nother teaching, have to get into that. But the trick is there was a reflection put in between her. So she looked at herself. That's why it's called or Isis. It's Isis and or Isis. It's the same being. She looked at herself and thought she saw her mate. She thought it was an ill use of ion. She thought she had been separated, no longer all set. Okay. Now she's Is. TT, Sumerian name of Eve. TT, it is. Okay. Now she thinks it's two of her. One she thinks is her partner. So now she's searching for something external. And that is, I got to find the 14 pieces. That's the moon cycle, the 14 reflections that she sees of herself. And she's got to find these 14 pieces of what she believes she is separated, belies. She believes she's no longer whole from the illusion, the mirror. Remember, I told you these lenses cannot see, they can only see virtual images. Therefore, that is what has happened to all of us. The ancestors tried to tell us through these hieroglyphics. They have been hijacked by gatekeepers along with the Sumerian texts and everything. So you have teachers on here that have good intent, but they're not tapped in. All they're doing is reading books. They're just reading books. And then they get on here and they teach you. They attempt to teach you with good intentions. But intentions is not always justifiable for the outcome. Okay, you got to know, and the only way you can know is now, to be present in the now. That's the only way you can know, and that's what meditation is. Meditation does not mean you got to be sitting the position I was talking about a few moments ago, and you got to go off and astral project with the silver cord and this and that, and you got to go here, go there, and have lucid dreams. No, it's about emptying the indoctrination, emptying the character that you've been told you are, that you believe that you are. You believe that you're missing something. You need something. You need an amount of money. You need a certain house. You need a partner. You need a drug. You need anything. This you realize you're an eternal soul, and this is just a part of who you are. That doesn't mean it doesn't matter, because it all matters. Except the matter. Except this. This is virtual. It's a scientific fact that our eyes can only see virtual. That's revelation of the method. Okay? Yeah, that we have convex. These are convex lenses. Okay? Same as the dome. So that means when the story of Marduk slaying Tiamat, and when they put this dome and separated the waters, okay, the dome is a lens. That's why they worship the all-seeing eye, because they know this is holography. This whole thing is mirrors. It's just light. That's why in Lucifer, the light bearer, is the one that knows that they're in the mirrors. The lights is pinging off of mirrors, and most don't know this. That's why the truth comes in the dark. That's why everything that is really needed for you is surrounded by darkness. your brain, okay, your heart, your solar plexus, all your organs, except what? The only organ that is not surrounded by darkness is your derma, which is just the anagram for dream. Everyone that talks about skin color, they're still in the dream world. It's an illusion. So this right here, that's why in Genesis 3, I wrapped them in animal skin. Enlil. Here, let's wrap them in animal skins. Give you a coat of animal skins. Well, how many layers does the derma got? 7. 7 is separation. You've been separated from the real you by 7 layers of derma or dream. Okay? The real you is 7 layers of light body that goes out. Okay? That's the real you. That's the real emanation of you. All right. So they called Saturn Chi-Yun. This is meant. This same word is used actually in the Bible in Amos 5:26. It says the star of your God. And then I told you the Babylonians called Saturn Kayamanu, which if you just like I said, they invert anything real is inverted. Okay. Just like the name Yahweh, if you invert it, it says Enlil. Perfectly. If you see the name Yahweh in Hebrew, okay, Paleo Hebrew, which is the only Hebrew, all right, the Pale Hebrew, all right, it has no Great Mother in it, because the Great Mother we know is triple black seed of triple black seed of darkness, not evil. It's where the black light, the vibration comes from. So Paleo Hebrew is it's an empty language. Pale Hebrew. That's all it is. It's empty. If you ever see a spider that's been, eaten by another spider, or just been sitting there for a while, it's pale. It's almost see-through. It's almost clear. Babylonians call Saturn Kayamanu. So really, if you put it, if it's not inverted, it's Manayaki, which is Anunnaki, except for the M and the N. All right. It has been switched. Actually, it's the Y has been switched. Or really, you don't even have to use the Y, but if we're going to be precise, it's Manuyaki, Anunnaki. I mean, there's no coincidence. So, and it means the steady one. It's the wandering star sun. It's the last wandering star sun visible to the naked eye. Saturn is, all right? El Elyon, the Most High. I went over that in part 1. So Saturn has a 29.5 year cycle, almost 30 year cycle. The moon has a 29.5 day cycle. All right. In the book of Numbers in the Bible, the Kabbalists give away a little clue, aka Revelation and Method. They say in their code, you've heard a day is as 1,000 years, but in their code, they tell you a day is as a year. So that's the Saturn moon matrix. A day is as a year. So 29.5 year cycle with Saturn, 29.5 year cycle with the moon. Okay. Excuse me, 29.5 day cycle with the moon. So a day is a year with their God. And this is how what they call prophecy. This is the system that they use to make themselves, they call themselves prophets. Well, every spoken word has a frequency. So prophet just is someone who makes profit off of this, knowing the cyclical nature of this construct. Okay. There's no such thing as a prophet. There's telepathy, there's telekinesis. We do have authority. We have all authority here. So that with that comes gifts and powers. Okay. But they cannot be used in vain. All right. That's Venus. The veins are Venus. So if they're used in vain, that means they're being used lustfully for power. You want to just show off that you can move a bottle on YouTube. You want to show off that you can read somebody's thoughts or something. It's not used for that. And anyone that really possesses this authority on a high, I don't like using the word level, a high vibration, they're rarely gonna use it, and they wouldn't even tell you, unless, only in rare circumstances. So anybody online doing this and that, then you already know it's I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying that you already know they're being foolish. So the 30 year, the Saturn return is when you're about 29, 30 years old. Well, that's the external story of Christ as well. He didn't start his ministry until he was 30 on his Saturn return. And then Saturn returns about 3 years. Okay. Just like the moon stays in your sign every month for about 3 days. So his ministry was about 3 years. Okay. This is the story of you, beloved. It literally is the story of you and Saturn, because Saturn is the gatekeeper of this realm. It thinks it's God, and it doesn't want anybody or any soul to get past it. And it really thinks it's God, like not God, but the origin, like the best creator there is. Okay. It's all about Saturn, this whole world, everything. But not just Saturn, but mainly Saturn. So every religion, especially the monotheistic, the Abrahamic religions. All right. So it's got a 29.5 year cycle with the sun. All right. The 12 zodiac signs. And it aligns remarkably with human generational cycles, making it a natural timekeeper of human lifespans. About every 30 years, it returns to the same position and stays there about 30 years, as I just said. This orbital cycle is longer than any other visible wandering star or light energy signature that we can see. So it's the longest one that is visible. It's the longest cycle that's visible to us. All right. With the naked eye, remember, with these lenses, all we can see is virtual images. So it's the longest cycle in the virtual images of light. The Shemaya, her illusion. So, according to the ancient Sumerian cuneiform, the density, listen to this, the density of Saturn or in Saturn is so low that it will float in an ocean large enough to contain it. So let me say that again for those that don't really know about these words. According to the ancient cuneiform tablets, which I've read myself for over a decade now, I taught myself to read cuneiform. Saturn's density is so low in the bowl, because we know that it's not no floating ball. It's a bowl here. It's a crater here, right on Tiamat, the bigger Earth. The density in that 369 energy, because that's the nature sign of Saturn, 369. The density, meaning the weight of the mass, is so low that it would float in an ocean here large enough to contain it. Well, guess what they did? They did that. They terraformed their crater when they got here after 40 years, when their crater got flooded, when they disconnected the greatest of spirit umbilical cord and merged with technology. They took them 40 years to get here, even with their technology. That's the Argo or the Ark. All right. The true story of the Ark. When they came here and they built their crater here, and guess what it did? It floated on water, aka Atlantis. They made a crater in a crater in a crater, and it floated on water. They made their crater here. That is what Atlantis is. It's Saturn 2.0. After it got flooded where they originally came from, they came here and they made Atlantis, okay, which was taken out about approximately 13,000 years ago. They remade it here. And in the cuneiform tablet, it says that they're the way. You ever seen the movie John Carter, where he's supposed to be on Mars and he's jumping real high, and he's like he's not floating, but he's just real strong. Then he's stronger than these bigger creatures and this and that. So what that tells me is, you know, them big Anunnaki pictures that you see of these big guys, and they're all muscled up and this and that, and they got, you know, muscled calves and legs and everything. They had no strength. They have no strength. They were big because they come from somewhere with 369 energy where everything is lighter. So it allows their muscles to grow real fast and quick and blow up real fast with no pressure going against it. So it was an illusion. They were bigger, but we were stronger the whole time. And here we were seeing these big old giants and this and that. That's the story of David and Goliath. One part of it. It has many layers of David and Goliath, but that was revelation of the method, letting you know that you're actually stronger than these Nephilims and Anunnaki. Physically stronger and spiritually stronger. You just all the way across the board stronger. And the strength comes from your authority, your golden Thor, your all Thor. Okay, you are the author, mind meant, because you're still connected to where organic minds begin, aka the womb. So you have the authority of the origin of all. They don't. Okay, they only have the ill use of ions on a very high level, what they call IQ or intelligence, or the tree of knowledge. Okay, the tree of knowledge. Knowledge. They just went so far. They just went so far off. They think there's no ledge, but we know the ledge. We know the ledger, which is wisdom, the tree of life. So, now the rings of Saturn. If you Google it, they'll tell you they just found out that Saturn had rings, I think like in the 60s or something ridiculous. No, it's actually inscribed from Mesopotamia to America, okay, to South America to Turtle Island. It's inscribed everywhere. We've been to that. The Dogon tribe been through that. So they're telling you that they just found out Saturn got rings, and they just found out about the hexagon, the cube at the South Pole, and all this and that. When we have it inscribed in stone, that's tens of I ain't gonna say tens of thousands of years old, but about 7,000-8,000 years old, inscribed in stone. So, the rings is what they really are, is just the reflection of the energy that's coming from their crater. So, because it's their crater is a crater in a crater in a crater. So they have energy points that show up as rings reflecting as light on the plasma. Okay. But would it, in the mythos, what it signifies is the bound God. Okay. So the only time that it's not bound is during what they would call Saturnalia. That's why the L eats, the ones that make sure that L eats, L being Saturn, that's why Saturnalia was such a huge thing. It was the biggest holiday of all. Okay. And if anybody that's still recognizing the Sabbath, they're still celebrating it every week. Every week they're celebrating Saturn, okay? And all the prayers that they're doing, they're actually praying for it to be unbound, okay? And when on Christmas, what you're really doing is, because Christmas, Capricorn and Aquarius are both governed by Saturn energy. That's why Saturnalia was there. So Saturn was bound all the rest of the year except for those two zodiacal signs. So they would have a festival where Saturn would be unbound. And that's what Saturnalia is, if you didn't know. And there was no rule. That means no rules, no limits, no anything. You can do anything you want. Basically like the Purge movies. Okay. But it wasn't just about going around, taking people out. It was more about lust and things like that. Perversion. It's all about perversion, is what it is. So it's known as the bound God, except during Saturnalia, because that's when, the sun of God is at its weakest, is dying and this and that, at the winter solstice, everything is pretty much dead in the northern hemisphere. Now, I had a good question on part one. Someone said, so what, the southern hemisphere just doesn't have any relevance at all? No, they do. It's just the cycle we're in right now is we're approaching the blue sun, which the blue Kachina, in Turtle Island as it's known. The southern hemisphere is more relevant when we're approaching the big red sun. That's when the southern hemisphere is more relevant. So it's not that the southern hemisphere is never relevant. It's just where we're at right now in this cycle. The great year is about 26,000 years approximately. So it's split in two, the same way the clock is split in two. The clock don't got 24 numbers, okay? It's got 12, and it gotta go around twice. That's the same way when I say changeover event, that's every age, okay? But the ones we call the pole shift or the apocalypse, that's only twice every great year, every approximately 12,900 years. Okay. So the other cycle is when you're heading towards the big red sun. That's when the southern hemisphere is relevant and the northern hemisphere really isn't. So in this cycle, the northern hemisphere, because we're going to the blue sun, aka the abomination of desolation, which is above Mount Meru, or the middle of the crater. See, the northern hemisphere is not north. It's not at the top. It's just closer to the middle of the bowl. So the southern hemisphere is just on the outer rim of the bowl. Okay. And see, when the red sun or the deluge happens, the waters come in from outside of our crater, come in from the rim. Okay. They come in from outside with what they'll tell you is outer space, comes from the firmament, it's coming from below and above and this and that. Well, it came from outside of our crater. That's the deluge. That's the big red sun. The plasma comes from the top of the dome, which is directly above the middle of our bowl. That's why the northern, what we call northern hemisphere, is more relevant in this moment. Okay, and hemisphere hemi is just blood. Anything hem or hemi, hemp, all of that has to do with blood. Sphere is your spirit. The sphere is your toroid field. So hemisphere is still you, beloved. But we're in a crater that is living as well. So you're not in a computer game. You're not on something that's not living. You're just somewhere where they have hijacked the light and made illusions with it on top of an organic plane. So, one thing about Saturnalia is Mars opposes Saturn, what we call Mars. Aries opposes Saturn during Saturnalia. Okay, this is what divided L, because the L from Yahweh. Because when the age of Aries came, they was full-blown Yahweh. That's why they said, who was the first person they told you that the name Yahweh was revealed to? It was Moshe or Moses. Moshe is just a play on words they use. See, everyone knows about gematria, but the Kabbalists have 3 hidden communication systems: gematria, notarikon, and tamura. Okay, and shamash is just one of those 3 where they move the syllables. So Moshe or Moses is actually just a play on words of Shemash, the highest candle on the menorah that lights all the other candles. You've seen the 7 candle menorah, okay, which is the original. Once they found out about the unseen planets, that's when they added the 9, for those that don't know about that. And it's still all just Atlantis. If you take the menorah, one menorah, and you put on top of the other, it's just the 3 rings of Atlantis, even whether it's the 7 or the 9. When it's the 7, it's the actual candles that are the rings. When it's the 9, it's the spaces between them. There's 3 rings of spaces. So either the 9 candle menorah or the 7 candle menorah is, you put one on top of each other, that's Atlantis, aka Saturn. It's all Saturn, the whole thing. So Mars opposes Saturn during Saturnalia. Now remember that. So the rings of Saturn is where all mythologies come from about the bound God. Okay. Just a few. Prometheus, the light bearer. Remember, Prometheus stole the light. Just same story as Lucifer. Similar story to Enki telling, as the snake in the garden, letting Eve know, and this and that. Well, Prometheus was bound by Zeus to a rock and tormented by an eagle. Okay. Eagle is a symbol of Jupiter or Zeus or Enlil. Okay, always has been. So Prometheus was bound by Zeus to a rock, tormented by an eagle daily, tearing at his liver for his defiance of the gods for giving fire to humanity. It wasn't fire, it was enlightenment. It was sacred knowledge. All right. Not good, not evil, not good. So just because people get mixed up and so you telling me Lucifer's the good guy? No, I'm not saying that. I would never ever condone any Luciferianism or no isms except you, beloved. That's it. I would never. Okay, I'm just telling you the truth. So Prometheus was the energy that basically comes to snap man's mind out of the sleep spell. Yo, it's an illusion. Remember who you are. That's what that is. So Zeus, remember Zeus is Jupiter and Enlil, and Yahweh, bound Prometheus to a rock, tormented by an eagle daily, tearing at his liver for his defiance of the gods, for giving fire to humanity. That's Greek. In the Norse mythology, Loki is chained to a rock, awaiting Ragnarok, which Ragnarok in the Norse mythology just means the end of the world. But more specifically, it doesn't just mean end of the world. It actually means doom of the gods, or fate or destiny of the gods. Who are the gods? You and I, beloved. So Loki is waiting. Now remember the story of Loki. He's a half brother of Odin, and Thor is the one that got the right to the throne and all that. Well, what story is that? That's the same story as Enki and Enlil. Enki and Enlil is half brothers. Enki is the one that is Loki. It's the same story. Glooskap over in Turtle Island is a similar story. It's all the same. Lucifer, Enki, Ea, Loki. I mean, think about this. This stretches across the entire realm. But they want to tell you one book got the truth, and unless you follow that book, you're going to burn in hell. But everybody got the same story with different names, though. But it's the same story. And it's older than all the books they're trying to shove down your throat. That's in every hotel room across the whole world, pretty much. And the Quran, too, if you're on the other side. So, and finally, we know in the Bible, the bound God is Abaddon or Apollyon in Revelation. Okay, so in Jewish mythos, Abaddon, they tell you Abaddon is the Hebrew name. Well, that's incorrect. Abaddon is not even a name; it's a place. Okay, so this Abaddon is not a name; it's a place. All right. And it's the name of it is Orcus. Orcus. Remember this. So Abaddon is a place named Orcus. Orcus. And this is in Job 31:12, Job 26:6, and Proverbs 15:11. Orcus. It's a place. Okay, so Abaddon, they tell you in Revelation, it even says his name is Abaddon in the Hebrew, but in Greek it's Apollyon. Okay. Both of them are not names. Apollyon just means destruction. Okay. So, and it's in Revelation 9:11. There's no coincidences. These people speak in code. Revelation 9:11. That's IXXI. That's the Freemasonry symbol of the Temple of Solomon. It's the two pillars, Joachim, Boaz, and it's the XX holding up the temple, the entrance to the temple. IXXI is 9/11. Revelation 9:11. They tell you about destruction. What happened on 9/11? Destruction of the two towers, the two pillars, Joachim and Boaz. What is the message? Hey, y'all, we need to get ready for the new world order, the Anu world order, because the pole shift, the real deal event, not just the changeover, the whole cleansing event is coming. And we got to be like the phoenix and rise from the ashes. Okay. That's what that's all about. It was a message. It was a message. And it was a way to cover up them moving the Benben stone. Anytime they move the Benben stone, there's big things happen. Big earthquakes happen, tidal waves happen, like Chernobyl, which means wormwood in that language. Chernobyl was another time they moved a piece of the Benben stone. So they have to have an event to cover it up. Okay. Same thing in Ukraine. When they started the whole Ukraine thing, they were moving another piece of the Benben stone. They're moving them around right now because the new energy. They have to move these. There's 8 pieces. The Benben stone was originally one piece, one black crystal that sat on top. First, it was in the in Uruk, okay, in Eridu, and then it was in Babylon, where Marduk had it on top of the ziggurat that you could know as the Tower of Babel, okay, and Lil knocked all that down, okay. Then it was taken to the Great Pyramid. They used it to make a whole alternate timeline. And what happened was, as different dynasties rose, and during the natural changeover events and things, it got split into pieces. So, what's been unveiled to eyes, it's in 8 pieces right now. So anytime they move it, it's because they have to move it based on the alignments of the lights, specifically the wandering stars or their gods. Okay. They have to move it according to that. And Trump knows about this. Trust and believe. Trump is fully aware of this. Okay. So for you to think 1 minute that man is like something like is looking out for us, Trump's job right now is to play theater as long as possible to keep the masses' attention as long as possible, whether you hate him or love him. That's his position. Same thing with Young Scum. He's doing it as well, but he's on a different level. All right, because it's a possibility that Trump could be an Anunnaki, especially with the book of the Baron and all that back in the 1800s about his life and this and that. That shows right there that he's had access to the timelines and the technology and all that. That they put little things in because they're full of arrogance and pride, so they can't stop themselves from putting little clues in and kind of rubbing it in your face because they really think you're that disconnected. For the most part, people are that disconnected, so they just don't care. And the ones like us that really aren't, they think were far and few in between. So they'll do things like that. Joel Osteen's another one. He did a little trick where he took the L out of his name with the timelines. They call it the Mandela effect and this and that. Okay. And biggest church in the world, you know, don't really talk about nothing. Got the creepiest smile I've ever seen on a human being. And his name was Joel Osteen. I remember having a book with his name, Osteen. Now it's Osteen, and you can't find it anywhere. And Steen or Stein comes from the Khazarian Merovingian bloodline. That is one of their baseline names. Okay, like Frankenstein, because they're not organic. They're not organic souls. All right. You know, they're inorganic. They're separated. So, and even like Frankenstein, even like frankincense, that had to do with embalming in the dead. All right. But so in Revelation 9:11, the word, it says a wandering star falls with the key to the bottomless pit and unlocks it and basically unbounds this Apollyon, the king of the locusts. All right. And smoke comes out of the pit and the king of the locusts and everything.
Where's my ice cream sandwich?
It's still in there, baby. I asked your brother to get it for you. Okay. So it says a star. No, it says an angel, right? Comes from heaven with the key to the bottomless pit. That's not the word. Well, first of all, the word is angelos that they use, right? Well, a single, and this says it right in, you know, if you look it up in any concordance or any etymology, anytime there's a single angelos, it specifically says single angels have charge of separate elements, fire and water. That means the changeover, the when I say changeover event, I'm speaking of the pole shift, just so you know, because I'm not going to keep correcting myself. You know what I'm speaking of. So angelos, it says when it's one single angel, when it says this one angel's coming down with the key to the bottomless pit, it specifically says when a single angelos is mentioned, it has charge over separate elements. But this is the thing. There's only mentioned in all of Scripture that in charge of fire and water. Okay. Fire in Revelation 14:18, water in Revelation 16:5, Revelation 7:1, and John 5:4. Okay. That's 4 different occasions where an angelos is in charge of an element. So in this particular Abaddon Apollyon, an angel coming with the key to unlock this destruction. It's not a being. It's an energy. Okay, it's not a name. It's an adjective. Destruction. All right, it's letting you know that it's about to go down. Okay, so the word used for star is aster. Okay, and aster, you might think, well, it mean asteroid. No, it means wandering star, aka planet. So they're letting you know. Yes, baby.
No, I won't get it from you.
Tell him I said get it, or tell Royce. Tell Royce I said. Get her ice cream sandwich. So in this particular occasion, aster is actually a wandering planet. So they're letting you know there's a wandering planet coming down to Earth that's going to unlock destruction. All right. The book of Revelation is encoded with the apocalypse. All right. The book of Revelation comes from the Sibylline priestesses. It was blackmailed by the Roman, the Caesars of that. I forget exactly which Caesar. Nine. So the book of Revelation is not related to the rest of the Bible at all. Okay. It literally comes from the Sibylline priestesses. It was basically stolen, blackmailed, and thrown in there, and they tell you John of Patmos and all this nonsense. So Aster as a wandering star, if you need a reference for that, Jude 113, Aster is a planet, aka wandering star, and in Enoch 1815, Aster is a wandering star. Okay, so this is solidifying the fact that what's coming to unlock Abaddon or Apollyon, where all these Biblicans are waiting for Apollyon to come out of this pit and with locusts and and it's some fallen angel. Oh my God, the Euphrates is dried up, and they got videos of noises and stuff, and all definitely they're coming up from the. It's all energy. I'll tell you what it is. The great mother finna clean house. That's what it is. It ain't nothing. Stop giving credit. These people are giving credit to the same thing they think they're against. You know why they are? Because they're actually worshiping the same thing. It is the same thing they're worshiping. And they don't even know it. The same thing they praying to, predators pray. Same thing. Oh, please let me get this promotion. Yeah, I'll give you this promotion, but Diana and her children are going to get put out of their house next week because you want to get a promotion so you can get that 2026 Chevy Impala sitting in your driveway while Diana and I'm just trying to make ends meet. But please let me get this promotion. Please, please, please. In Jesus and Zeus's name, that's praying. So, in Revelation 9:1, that we have the 9:1 again, it says, the fifth angel sounded, and a star fell from heaven unto earth. And it says, to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Well, the real word for bottomless pit is freer or friar. And what it means is it's spelled Phrear. Okay. And what it means is a well or a cistern. Okay. That's the exact meaning from it. And it comes from the more ancient Norse mythology called Freya or Phrygia. Okay, so the bottomless pit, the star that's coming to given the key of the bottomless pit is Freya or Phrygia, which in the Norse is Venus. So, and the Virgin Mary, aka known as the humble ladybird, both of them called this. Phrygia and the Virgin Mary both are called the humble ladybird, Our Lady's bird. And the Germans actually called an insect called the Marienkäfer, which just means Mary's beetle, aka the ladybug. What does the ladybug have on it? The black sun. So here we have it all encoded in the etymology. Etymology edifies you. It's the vibration that edifies you in this part of the incarnation cycle. Okay. When we get to a different part, they no longer need this right here. Okay. You just need this. All right. But in this now, for you to know, you need to be edified with the etymology. All right. So all of that, Phrygia it says friar in the Bible. Okay. But they get it from the word Freya or Freya from the Norse, which is Venus and Virgin Mary, aka the humble lady bird. Remember the bird, Our Lady's bird, and the Germans call it the insect Marion. There's Marion Kaffer, which means Mary's beetle. They get the beetle from, guess where? Ancient Egypt, the scarab. The scarab, as I showed in the alphabet teaching, the A tone was the scarab. That's what it represented. Okay. The moon comes before the sun. The mother comes before the sun. So the A was the scarab. It got turned into the crab now. And then the A got turned into a bull too, the Aleph, which that's where the bull crap started with the distorted masculine energy. So here we have the Germans even know this mystery, this mist story. Marion Kaffer, which means Mary's beetle or ladybug. What does ladybug have on it? The black sun. So, Venus. Now we know it's encoded in the Sibylline priestesses book of Revelation. Before that, it was called the Apocalypse of Jesus Christ. In Greek, it says, a poke of the lips to he so which riseth to. Jesus Christ was not written in the Greek Septuagint, which there is no original Greek Septuagint on earth except under the Vatican. Okay. It was changed to the Latin Vulgate by Jerome, who in his own autobiographies said, I am not able to do this work properly. So he was supposed to only do the 4 Gospels and translate them from Greek to Latin, Jerome, but he admitted that he was ill-equipped. So he did the 4 Gospels, and then the Pope of that time said, hey, do the whole thing. And he admitted he didn't know what he was doing. Jerome did before he passed. He wrote his own document and said that I didn't know what I was doing. I did it the best I could, but it wasn't really that good. Okay. So in the Greek, Jesus Christ was not a proper noun. It was not even capitalized when other names was capitalized. It says apocalypse. They tell you it says apocalypse of Jesus Christ. When it says a poke of the lips to he so which riseth to. Which means, are you going to rise too? Are you going to graduate? Are you going to be anointed? One by fire, one by water? Are you going to be anointed to graduate out of here? That's what it means. Okay. Then it was changed to the book of Revelation. Revelations means to reveal something. So what they did was when they changed it back to English, they revealed it. Okay. It's not the book of unveilation. They're not unveiling anything to you. When they unveiling is giving you the whole truth, spelling it out for you. Bing, bam, boom. When you see Venus get here and you see Saturn get here and Mars here, then that means the changeover event about to go down. That's why I got all the obelisk up in D.C. and London and the Washington Monument and the Vatican Square, St. Peter's Square. That's the Jew Peter Square, Times Square, and Manhattan Island, the Devil's Island. They got it, all these obelisks just sitting up because the people that are initiated the fake Masons who are not my sons. They're just travelers. That's why they changed the name of what a Mason means. It means a traveling man. They don't got no home. They don't have no home. They're not going to go back to the womb of the mother. They're not whole. They can't go back to the rest, the crest, the Christ. They have to keep going and going and going and going. They shall seek death in those days and shall not find it. The traveling men, the free Masons, the fake Illuminati. They're stuck. Shouldn't be tribes, be wanderers. That's why they tell you the Hebrews, the Pyrus, they were nomads. Nomads back in, remember, anything real here is inverted. So nomads is daemons. Okay. At one point, daemon didn't mean what it means today. Okay. But you know what it means now. Daemons is demons. Disembodied spirits. No souls. Condemned. The damned. Okay. What does a dam do? If you're damned, that means you're blocking off the water. The damned, if somebody is damned, they're blocked off from the water. What water? The waters of the mother, the womb, the rivers of living water. They're damned. Okay. So Venus, if you don't know, is 7. The word Venus is 7. It's the hijack 7. You see how Saturn took 7? Yahuwah Sabaoth. What are you doing, baby? Yahuwah Sabaoth. Okay. The 7, the Saturn day, Sabbath day. Okay. Venus is 7. All right. That's the 7. It's in the name. All right. So Venus, even the V and the E actually is just meant 2 at in the ancient language before that Romans got their language from. The V is the 5. So even V, that's the VE is 7, and the noose is just sun backwards. The 7th sun. Okay. So the Venus return around the age of 32. So the Venus return happens almost at the end when Saturn's about to start retrograding, leaving. So around the age of 32, emotional heaviness starts to lift. On your 32nd birthday, Venus and Mars return. Okay. Around that time, around that moment. Venus and Mars return. All right. Now, internally, just like externally, because everything out there is just a mirror of you. So while Venus is returning, so what does that represent internally? Well, you have arteries, right? And you have veins. That's called your venous system. Okay. Now, internally, your Venus return is the flow of blood from the systemic venous network towards the right heart. Let me say it again. The Venus return. So when Venus, we've already established, is coming down to unlock the pit for destruction, Apollyon, Abaddon, to clear it on out. So the Venus return is when the blood returns to the right side of your heart. What's that? The feminine energy. When the feminine energy returns to the right side of your heart. Okay? You have 2 hearts. You got just like you got 2 brains, because you have a mind of your heart. That's your soul. Soul's mind. The blood carries pieces of your soul, fragments of your soul. That's why they love the blood so much. It's really plasma. So the systemic Venus network brings back the flow of blood towards the right heart, activating the heart. Cardiac output is governed by Venus inflow. Let me say that again. Your heart is governed by Venus, internally and externally. That's why Venus is the signature of love or lust. If you're not in alignment, your heart is going to lust after material things, all the ill use of ions, all the illusions, everything. So when Venus comes here with the key to unlock the pit of destruction, what are they talking about? Where is that? It's Mount Meru. Mary, it's the center, it's the middle, it's magnetic North Pole. When Venus is right above magnetic North, when Venus is right aligned in Cancer at the pole star, right there, that's when this will happen. Okay? And that's not just Venus. We're going to go even deeper. This is, like I told you, this is going to be like a 4-part teaching. We finna die. I told you this one was going to be better. It's going to get better on the next one. We're only getting started. I actually do have somewhere I have to be here soon. So this one isn't going to be 3 hours long, but they're going to get better and better. So internally, you have a Venus return as well. And it's when the blood returns to the right side of your heart. Okay? Now, because we are in an illusion and everything is inverted, the feminine side of the energy, the right side, governs the physical left side. That's why people get confused. I had somebody do a review of one of my teachings on their page. I'm not going to say who. Semi-large page. Did a review of the teaching I did on archaics. And he had like callers coming in and stuff. And those people were saying, there was one guy on there saying, this guy don't know what he's talking about. The left side is the feminine and the right side is the masculine. Well, what that person didn't understand is it's introverted into the physical because it's a mirror. So the right side of your mind or your energy is the feminine energy, but it's governing the left side of the physical because it's a reflection. So the masculine energy on your left side is governing your right hand. That's why your left hand in the physical takes in energy. If you hold crystals and you want to see if they resonate with you, you see this copper bracelet? Copper and silver intertwined the way light moves. I have it on my left hand. So with magnets, positive, negative, it attracts the energy, balanced energy. So it comes in through the left and energy exits through your right. Right? That's why most fighters throw a power punch with their right hand because it's coming from the left masculine energy. That's why men shake hands with their right hand because their energy is leaving out of their right hand and they're both energies leaving and it's meeting and it's saying, hey, here's my energy. Here's my energy. Let's put it together. I agree. Shake on it. Right hand. That's why the left side, the left member receives. It can be a receiver or a taker. So the left side, physically, let's look at the left side of the world, physically. Okay? The Western countries, they're takers. They run in, they go to Iraq, they go here, they go there, they go in the whole world and they go take whatever they want. Take the oil, take the lithium, take this, take that. That's the left side. What do they give? The Eastern, the right side, they give out spirituality. They give out all of the holy books have come from that side. Everything they give out. Everything gives. China is always giving out everything. Ukraine supplies everybody with 90% of the grain in the world and this and that. Things that don't even make sense, but it's as it is inward, so it is outward. Okay. But the energy is opposites, so it's reflections. You're in a mirrored world. So you have a Venus return in you, right? So, and here's another thing. And even in the heart, the left heart ejects, right? And the right heart returns. Well, that's because the right heart is actually governed by, if it's returning, that means it has to be received. You see, so your heart is actually not mirroring. Your heart is the one thing that's in alignment because it's the mind of your heart. So that's the real mind. It's not your brain. It's really your heart. Where people say, oh, don't use, sometimes you got to use your mind, not your heart. Or some people always say, follow your heart. Your heart is not reversed. The left side of your heart ejects. Okay. The right heart returns. So the Venus energy signature, and here's another interesting fact. The Venus energy signature spins opposite of all the other energy signatures of the wandering stars. It spins opposite. So that means it's not reflecting. Or if it is, if it is reflecting, it's made so it's actually with you. The energy is actually the same as you, the real you. Okay, so Venus is the only energy signature, like how Uranus is the only energy signature that is set horizontal. Venus is the only energy signature that goes the opposite way, against time, against Saturn. Remember, Saturn thinks it's 7. Well, Venus is 7. The word Venus is 7. So, Venus also has the same cycles as our moon. Okay. Instead of a month, from new to full, it takes 584 days. Now, I'll have to explain that in part 3. That'll take, that takes some explaining. So remember what I said just about 20 minutes ago about the pit. It's the word used actually means a well or cistern, right? So the pit they're talking about is actually a well or a cistern, to be more precise. So cistern, if you go in the etymology, it's where you get the word sister from. It's all connected to water. So it literally goes back to the word sister, cistern. Okay. And Venus is called our sister planet, our sister light, energy light. Okay. So this all lines up with this book of Revelation, which is actually the Sibylline priestesses book of the cycle, the sun cycle. It's actually not the sun. I know I've always said sun cycle previously, but it's really the light cycle, the cycle of the light. So a cistern, the difference between a well and a cistern is specifically designed. You can look this up. Definition of cistern is specifically designed for release, for flushing, cleansing, and purging. I mean, how many more things do you need to solidify that this is not just some nonsense that some guy is on here teaching you? How many more? I mean, how much more? And people will still have, probably bots, but people will still have the audacity or the ignorance to go in the comments and say, this teaching was trash. This is trash. This dude's a false prophet. You're right. If I said I was a prophet, I would be false because there's no such thing as prophets. So you're absolutely right. I am a false prophet because I'm not. I know. All right. I know. I'm a knower. All right. Not a prophet. So, yeah, so a cistern is specifically designed for release for flushing, cleansing, purging. And what it is, what it has is plasma. It's plasma. Just like the man that was unalived when he went to the bottom of the ocean and found there was another bottom that was viscous, jelly-like. It was a lake at the bottom of the ocean that was like jelly. That's the plasma. Sheol. Okay, that's what that is. It's plasma. That's what's going to be unleashed, and it's going to be magnodielectric charged, okay, by Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, all aligned at the pole, coming down, and that's what's going to create the plasma apocalypse. Now, I can give you, it's already been unveiled to I about the exact dates and everything. Now I'm gonna go to some pictures and we're gonna finish this off. So I made a little picture thing for you. Let me see if I can do it without my son's help. Actually, give me 1 second. Let me get him because I gotta use the restroom real quick. Ronnie, can you? I'm not done yet. Ronnie, can you pull up? Can you pull up that screen for me, please? I'm still on that.
Hi guys. Yeah. I really good teaching. Hi.
Stop.
Oh, Daddy. Teaching. You can see it.
What are you teaching them? Baby talk. You teach them how to. You teaching the babies. Is it working? All right, baby. Good job. You just taught some of the babies. You just taught some of the babies.
Can I do it? Can I play with this? Can I play with this?
Yes. You can play with it. Just don't hit nothing that has water in it. Let me make sure. Let me double check, make sure everything is working properly. So you guys could if you feel compelled to take this moment to hit the thumbs up thing. I never thought I'd be wanting to say that. I'm definitely not going to say like, share, and subscribe. But the thumbs up it just kind of shows me that you guys are being receptive. I don't all that algorithm bullcrap. I could care less. I just want to know who is actually grateful, pretty much. Some of you do show me with, by sending not, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but monopoly money, Mooney, which we know that right at this moment it is still, I ain't gonna say needed, but we can still utilize it to get where we're supposed to be. So I humbly and authentically and genuinely have eternal gratitude for all that share these teachings and everything. Let me make sure you guys can see this. I can't even get on here. Hold on. Okay, it is on the screen. It's kind of small, but okay. I don't have to see myself. I guess that was good. That's fine. And then you said I can click on each one. All right. So let's give this a rundown real quick. Here you have the alpha. Let me turn this down. You have the alpha and the omega, right? This is called the crook and the flail. This is a symbol of the archons. It's showing you this is the Cainable system before there was the Cainables, the Cain Abel story. Okay. So basically this is technology. And this is also hidden to even today at like the Lincoln Memorial, where he's got his hands on the what's it called? The Roman forget the name of, but Lincoln at the Lincoln Memorial has his hands resting on this right here. That's the same thing that he has his hands resting on. Here we have the Mayans with the same thing. It's kind of hard to see. And then, Jesus had the crook right here, or the staff. And here we have the name of Jesus in Greek, which is the chi, the X, and the rho, alpha, omega. It's the A to the U to make gold. Okay. Like the teaching that I did. Now I got one that I believe is even better. That's going to be part of this series. That is better than the teaching I did on archaics. So, now I'm going to give you guys some visuals on everything that I've taught up until this point. This is what it's going to look like when, matter of fact, hold on. I skipped the whole part. Give me 1 second. Where is it? Okay. Give me 1 second, y'all. Why? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Am I not supposed to? Okay. All right. This is an excerpt out of a book called Worlds in Collision by Velikovsky. So, and I'm going to be, I highlight, so I'm not reading it straight through. I'm paraphrasing some of this. But excellent book. If you're a reader and you enjoy reading, I highly recommend you getting it. Okay. In the last centuries before this era, the 225-day year of Venus, also its orbit, were practically the same as in modern times, as early as the 7th century before this era, meaning 700 BC. Mars did not arouse any fears in the hearts of ancient astrologers, and its name was seldom mentioned in the second millennium, meaning 2000 BC. Basically, you can't find anybody talking about Mars 2000 before 2000 BC. Okay, like it's barely, like just itty bitty little fragments. All right. So the name of Nergal is found only on rare occasions on the astronomical ceiling of Senmut, Mars. Does not appear among the planets. So it did not play any conspicuous part in the early mythology of the celestial gods. Well, anyone that knows about the Anunnaki or the Anunnaki knows that Nergal is actually a name of one of the Anunnaki. Nergal is a son of Enki. Okay. Enki had Marduk is a son of Enki or Yah. Okay, Enki is Yah. So Marduk is a son of Enki. Ningishzida is a son of Enki, aka Thoth or Tahuti. Okay. And Gibel, Ninagal, Dumuzi, aka Tammuz, and Nergal are sons of Enki. Okay. Now Nergal, it says in the Sumerian tablets that Nergal, who was a son of Enki, teamed up with a son of Enlil named Ninurta. Ninurta is known as the Scorcher. Okay. So Ninurta is known as the Scorcher and was the god of Lagash. And Ninurta also partnered with Marduk, seized the tablets of destiny, and supposedly was the one that made star forts in Turtle Island or the Americas. And Zechariah Sitchin in his book says that Nergal and Ninurta, so that's Enki's son and Enlil's son, set off nukes in Babylon, and nuclear weapon or etheric weapons. That's why the whole place is desert now. Well, this is why he's a gatekeeper, because he's not telling you the truth. The truth is they're talking about the lights above. They're not talking about people. Okay. Am I saying that Enki, who we call Enki and Enlil and the Anunnaki are not people? No, that's not what I'm saying. Just like how Christ is Christ consciousness, and it's also, uh, the sun going through the zodiac and everything. It's all reflection. It's inward, outward. It's always in all ways. Okay. So here we have ancient texts calling Nergal Mars and Ninurta the scorcher. Now remember this. Take a mental note or write this down. So Nergal is Mars and Ninurta is known as the scorcher. But Mars or Nergal did not play much of a role in early mythology. Okay. But in the 9th or 8th century BC, the situation changed radically. Mars became instantly, out of nowhere, around 900 BC, became the dreaded planet. Accordingly, Mars Nergal rose to the position of the frightful storm and war god. Sound familiar? Became known as the storm and war god. The question, why, previous to that time, did Mars / Nergal signify no danger to the Earth? And what caused Mars to shift now I'm reading this, shift its orbit nearer to Earth? So when it says orbit, we're not talking about a physical body. We're talking about these lights in the sky. We're talking about these energy signatures. Okay. They came and all aligned. All right. That's what this teaching's been leading up to. And I'm going to show you why it's called the Saturnal order. Because Saturn is the one that is running this show. Okay. And they worship it. So until about 900 BC, Mars, the light, the red sun, comes. Before that, it didn't signify any danger. So this is what Zechariah Sitchin's talking about, that Nergal and Ninurta, they join forces. See, he's a gatekeeper, so he's telling you Mars and something called the Scorcher, which I will unveil to you here in a little bit, got together and caused the equivalent of a nuclear explosion in the area of Babylon. Okay, so then Venus, the light we call Venus, also changed its orbit, and Mars changed its orbit. So we have a conflict between Venus and Mars, a spectacle observable from Earth, repeatedly into contact. That means they kept coming together, as you see right here. They were visible in the sky. They kept coming together repeatedly, each time with different results. And this is commemorated in traditions and literary documents and religions. That means the very religion you were once indoctrinated in, the whole thing they was talking about, this right here. People waiting around for the end of the world and this and that, they talking about this right here. Oh, it's the king. Abaddon is coming and out of the pit and locusts and this and that. Nah, this is what's happening. So the Greeks acquired the art of writing about 700 BC. They mastered it around 700 BC, right? And the main work was the Iliad, if you don't know. So, and the works of Homer, a man named Homer. So it was in the 8th century BC that Mars Nergal, until then an obscure deity, became a prominent god. Now remember, this was the time of the age of Aries. So Mars is Aries. So this was the energy that was being embraced by the Yahwists, aka Jacobites, aka Moses and them, the tribe of Aries. This was during the age of Aries. So here comes Mars, Nergal, okay? And in the poems of Homer, the Iliad, it says the story is told of battles with which the Greeks besieging Troy, right? The story of Troy, Achilles and all that. Deities took a prominent part in these battles. 2 of them, Athene and Ares, were by far the most active. So Athene is Venus. Ares is Mars. So the whole story of the Battle of Troy is about Mars and Venus. Okay. Were there people fighting and stuff? Sure. But the story, the Iliad, is about Mars and Venus and what they all witnessed in the sky. Changeover event. So listen. Athene was the protectress of the Greeks. Ares, or Mars, was on the side of the Trojans. They were the chief antagonists, meaning the Trojans. So not only were the Yahwists and them over there was doing all kind of crazy stuff, blood magic, sex magic, on top of mountains, saying they're the jealous God and taking over and killing everybody in 60 cities. Here you have over here the same thing going on. They just calling it different names and stuff. Doing the same thing, same energy they're embracing because they're not in alignment. So this is what it says in the Iliad. At first, Athene, remember Athene is Venus and Ares is Mars. Remember this. At first, Athene removed Ares from the battlefield. That means Venus took Mars out of the sky. Okay? That means Venus got in front of Mars. Venus eclipsed Mars. All right? Furious Ares was abiding on the left of the battle. What's that mean? The western sky. So Mars was in the west sky. And it says Aphrodite, which if you Google, they're going to tell you Aphrodite is Venus. Just like they'll tell you Lucifer is Venus. All nonsense. Aphrodite is the moon. Look it up. Do your search. Knock. Ask the greatest of spirit. It will be unveiled to you. Aphrodite is the moon. They changed it to Venus. Okay. So it says Aphrodite, the goddess of the moon, wished to participate in the war also, but Zeus, aka Jupiter, told her, "Not unto thee, my child, are given works of war. Nay, follow thou after the lovely works of marriage. And all these things shall be the business of swift Ares and Athene." So basically, Jupiter energy is supposedly, somehow, astronomically, is intercepting the moon energy and saying, no, you here for marriage and this and that, and making the 2 become 1, because reflection. So whoever wrote the Iliad knew the truth, and saying you're not getting involved in war. This is for the swift Mars and Venus. So and then it goes on to say the battlefield was darkened by Ares, aka Mars, during the day. So Mars, literally darkened the daytime. Okay. And the battle, furious Ares drew a veil of night during the daytime to aid the Trojans. He saw that now it's called Pallas Athene. This is where they get the word palace from now. Okay, a palace is where the king and the queen dwell. They got this from Venus. So Pallas Athene was at this time was the departed, meaning Venus was not in the sky. It was only Mars, and Mars turned the sky, basically eclipsed the sun. Mars eclipsed the sun. Okay. It says Hera, the goddess of earth, stepped upon the flaming car, groaned upon their hinges the gates of heaven. What does that mean? That means earth was rumbling, was groaning. The same way they tell you in the Bible, the 7 trumpets and all that, and people been hearing, they've already been hearing it for a few years now. Outside, people saying it's dragons and this and that, and the trumpets are blowing. It's diamagno-electric, and it's the pressure. It's the accumulation of things. It's the diamagno-electric activity. It's charging up the plasma, and the pressure and the molecules are moving faster and faster, aka the wavelengths are getting smaller and smaller, and it's literally vibrating. So it's starting to make sounds that you can literally hear. So the earth is groaning, it says. It says she spoke to Zeus, Hera, the goddess of earth. All that means is it was an Earth-Jupiter conjunction. They're telling you the setup of when this happened and what had happened. It's just encoded in stories. Okay, it's not just the Bible. This is the Iliad, older than the Bible. So Earth spoke to Zeus. That's a conjunction. That means Jupiter was within 8 degrees. So that means Venus and Mars was right next to each other, hitting each other, it looked like, in the sky. Plasma flying everywhere, this and that. Now, Jupiter is within 8 degrees of Earth. Jupiter is now entering the sky, visible. Okay? And Earth says, will thou in any wise be wroth with me if I smite Ares? So Earth is telling, this is what was written, Earth is telling Jupiter, I'm finna take Mars out. Are you going to be mad? And Zeus replied, nay, come now. Rouse against him Athene, meaning telling Earth or Gaia, let Venus handle him. Venus got him. Venus gonna handle Mars. All right, Alien scum. Venus gonna handle you. Okay? Love is gonna handle you. So, then Pallas Athene, aka Venus, grasped the lash and the reins, and against Ares, Mars, first she speedily drave. That means Venus started moving real quick towards where Mars was at in the sky, moving fast. Okay. Then it says, Athene put on the cap of Hades, to the end that mighty Ares should not see her. What does that mean? Hades means Pluto. That means Pluto was also there. And Venus put on the cap means Pluto was actually in front of Venus or right on top. Okay, I'm gonna show you the pictures after I'm done reading. So Pluto was on top of Venus or maybe even in front of Venus. Pluto is known as the destroyer also. Abaddon, Apollyon, destruction. That's okay. Sumerian tablets is Gaga. And if you go back, in the Akkadian changes to Gaga. If you go even further back, it's Kaka. Kaka is the destroyer. Gaga, Kaka. Okay, Pluto. So Venus put on the cap of Hades to the end that Aries or Mars should not see her. Aries, also known as the bane of mortals, was attacked by Athene, who sped the spear mightily against the nethermost belly, which means plasma was seen going straight to the light in the sky that we know as Mars. And these things is close. How you see them right here. We ain't talking about the little itty bitty stars that we see now. All right. We talking about as big as the moon or bigger, because they above the north. They're at the above magnetic north. Okay. Now, it's a lens. It's all holography. As I told you, for something to be virtual in the first teaching, it has to be, it shows smaller than what it really is. So something has to be really, really big for it to look big. Okay, that's a lens. All right. And then if it's real, it's up. You're seeing it upside down and inverted. All right. So he goes on to say, so Venus puts a spear through his belly. Well, what's that remind you of? What other story did you hear a spear going in somebody's side? Christ. You've heard the story that Christ had the spear through his side. Who was Christ supposed to be the Messiah of? Huh? Who they tell you he is the Messiah of? The Jews. Who are the Jews? The tribe of Aries, the Rams. Who they tell you Jesus is? The sacrificial lamb. A lamb is a ram. So here we have Mars getting stabbed in the side in the spear. This is older than the Bible. By Venus. Who's Venus? They tell you it's Lucifer or Satan. So here we have supposedly Satan putting a spear in the side of Mars. Now Mars doesn't have any water. The water comes out of Mars. Mars has no water now, just like they tell you when Jesus was on the cross. Or is it the crossing, when all these lights are crossing each other, intersecting? The crucifixion, the pyramid, the fire in the middle. So, then brazen Aries bellowed loud as 9,000 warriors cry in battle. So when this happened, there was a loud sound that seemed to have come from the light that's called Mars. When the plasma shot straight from Venus to Mars, it made, you know how when lightning strikes and you hear that thunder, this is times 9,000. This on a whole nother level. So it says, a black darkness appeareth from the clouds. With the heat, a blustering wind ariseth. Okay. So basically, the plasma is heating up the wind everywhere, worldwide. Just from this event with Venus and Mars, this plasma event, the wind, the air is getting, it'll burn your skin hot. It says, in heaven, Mars appealed to Zeus against Venus. So what does that mean? Mars then had a conjunction with Jupiter. That means conjunction means within 8 degrees. So Mars, after it got hit by the plasma from Venus, it then got close to Jupiter. Okay. So the first round, it says, was lost by Aries, Mars. Hera, aka Earth, and Athene made Aries the bane of mortals to cease from his manslaying. So Mars was basically setting off fires everywhere. Was setting off fire the same way that fires are going off everywhere right now in Canada and everywhere. See, they're not telling you this. It's because we're approaching the same event. There is no prophecy. It's cyclical. This is already taking place. This is already aligning. This is already happening. Mars is tearing stuff up. So, in the 5th book of the Iliad, Ares is called by name more than 30 times. And throughout the poem, he never disappears from the scene. That means Mars stayed in the sky for a long, extended period. Whether in the sky or on the battleground. On the battleground means on the horizon. So whether it was in the sky or right on the horizon, it stayed there. The 20th and 21st books describe the climax of the battle of the gods at the walls of Troy. Venus would utter her loud cry. That means sound started coming from the light Venus. And over against her sprouted Ares. Mars was above Ares. Mars was above Venus. Dread as a dark whirlwind, calling with shrill tones to the Trojans. So that means sound was just coming in waves from Mars, from the light, the signature Mars, vibration. The two hosts clashed in battle, and amid them made grievous strife to burst forth. Then terribly thundered the father of gods, and from beneath did Poseidon cause the earth to quake, and to steep crest of the mountains all the roots and fountains were shaken, and the ships, same thing written in Book of Revelation. It says all the ships are going to, 1/3 of the ships are going to sink in this ocean. It says all the mountains are going to be moved out of their place. All the waters and all the islands are going to be moved. This is the same thing. This is before the Bible was written. They're telling you what they saw. Okay. Now, the father of the gods is considered Jupiter at this time. All right. And it says from beneath, Poseidon caused the earthquake. Poseidon is Neptune. Neptune has a 165-year return, 165-year cycle. Neptune just entered Aries March 30th, 2025. Just not even was not even 2 months ago. So they're telling you what's going on. Mars is causing all the fires. Remember, I'm not talking about spinning balls in outer space. Mars was out here causing all the fires, got people losing their minds, going crazy. The energy of Aries or Mars. Right? So then it says, Jupiter's appearing, this and that. Remember, I told you Jupiter and Saturn had a great conjunction. The 4 days as it was coming into its climax, 4 days before that was the first time they gave out the snake bite. Okay, so now Neptune only has 165 years only comes around. It just entered Aries, ruled by Mars, March 30th, 2025. Just got here. That means Poseidon is here. Okay. Pluto, remember it says Pluto was on, Venus wore Pluto on top, so Mars wouldn't see her, had Mars on top of her head. Pluto returned 2/22/22, 22222 to 27 degrees Capricorn. That's known as the U.S. return. It's since the United States 1776 and the so-called fake Illuminati 1776, this was the first Pluto return. 27 degrees, 2 plus 7 is 9. That means it's finished. That means it's about 9 is completion. So Pluto, the destroyer, or Hades, just returned in 2/22/22. So we have the Great Conjunction 2020 in Capricorn, the goat, the Baphomet. We also have Neptune just returned less than 2 months ago in Aries with Mars, March 30th, 2025. We got Pluto, who Venus wears as a cap and hides behind, returned 2/22/22 to 27 degrees 9 completion Capricorn. That's the United States return. Pluto is now in Aquarius right now until 2043. Why is that relevant? Because in the Bible, they tell you that the Antichrist is going to rule for 3 years, 3.5 years, right? 2040 is when the Phoenix event's supposed to go down, right? Sixth seal. So 3 years after that, that's the destroyer. The destroyer finna be here because Pluto is what's called a mute planet. It's not feminine energy nor masculine energy. It's actually a moon. It's actually a they call it one of Saturn's moons, but its signature is not balanced, but it's not masculine nor feminine. Basically, it can be used to destroy. Okay. So that's your Phoenix event right there. 2024, it'll be there until 2043, where it leaves. So everything will be pretty much destroyed, upheaval. But then guess what? When Pluto leaves, there's your 3 years from 2043 to 2046, when the so-called Antichrist theater can happen and they acting like the Phoenix is rising from the ashes. Little do they know, 2046, the real deal is going down. This is just a warm-up. So Pluto's frequency is 140.25 hertz. If you don't know, 140.25 hertz is tuned to the color blue, the wavelength of the color blue. The color blue is 485 nanometers, the wavelength. So it's harmonic. Pluto is harmonically tuned to the moon, Neptune, and water. Remember, I just told you Neptune just returned on March 30th. So Pluto is also here until 2043. It's tuned to the moon and Neptune and the water and the blue sun. It's all a diagram. It's all getting ready to ping, bang, boom like pinball. The energy finna bounce off each other, and it's gonna equal the real changeover event. So it goes on to say Aries or Mars smoked her tasseled aegis, talking about Venus. Well, a tasseled aegis is this right here. Right here. That's Medusa. So Mars went on to and smoked Venus, and this is what came out. This is what they saw. That's where the Medusa thing come from. And what happened was the energy from the plasma petrifies things. Okay? It's called meltology. It's so hot, it literally petrifies and melts rocks and everything. So that's what Medusa, that's where the Medusa mythology comes from. Okay? You see the tongue? You see the swirls right here? Okay, now look at the tongue. You see the snakes? That's plasma. All of that is plasma. You see these two down here? 2 witnesses. That's the 2 witnesses that are shown on every symbology. It goes on to say that so Athene sped it says Aphrodite came to wound. So Venus came to wound Mars, took him by the hand, and sought to lead him away. But Venus sped in pursuit, and she smote Aphrodite on the breast, meaning she passed the moon. She basically intersected with the moon. and her heart melted. It says Venus' heart melted, meaning Venus, like you could tell there was no interaction. It just came close. It intersected with the moon, but there was no interaction. So goes on to say the most mighty Mars, Aries, chieftain of valor, revolving the fiery circle in ether among the 7 wandering stars, aka planets, where thy flaming steeds ever uplift thee above the third chariot. Who's the third chariot? It's us. We're the third chariot. We're the third bowl. We're the third light. So Mars is right above us, the third rock from the sun. They tell you, no, we're just the third bowl, the 3D, third dimension. So it's Mars was right above us. That's again magnetic north. It says the planet Mars destroys cities, and it says is ascending the sky in a darkened cloud. Okay, well, what does the Bible say? Remember, Mars is Aries, and in the Bible, Moses and them are the tribe of Aries. Well, in the Bible, remember when they was in the desert, it says they followed a cloud by day and fire by night. They was following Mars. They was following Mars, y'all. That's what they're talking about. They ain't talking about no Yahweh and this mystical God. They're talking about Mars. Aries was the personification of the raging storm, the god of the sky, god of light, a sun god. And god of the sky is also known as Enlil as well. And so this right here, this event happened between this Troy event that I just read to you happened approximately between 1194 BC and 1184 BC. It's been narrowed down to 10 years. And guess when Moses was said to have left Egypt? The real deal, not with Google and all that. Approximately 1200 BC. So within 6 years, estimate of Moses and the Exodus from Egypt, this is what happened. What I just read to you. This is what happened. This is when Moses and them left Egypt. This is what happened. This is why they followed Mars. They were Mars worshipers. They worshipped Aries. They were the tribe of Aries, the ram, the lambs, and all that. Okay? You see the horns? So that's the whole story of the Moses and all that stuff. Now let's go through some of here. As you can see, this is the sign for the Greek sign for Chiro. Jesus and Osiris got the same thing. It just went from double masculine, triple really, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, 3 dudes, to this was the womb. And some people say this is the masculine, this is the feminine, but it really was all feminine in the beginning. So this is pretty much what it looks like when this event starts happening. These are pictures of it going back in the day. The resurrection of the sun. This is 2400 BCE. So this was another event. Here's the resurrection of the sun right here. Same thing. Here's the Ankh, representing the Great Mother. Okay, holding up the Son of God. Okay, here's the other 6 because the sun is 7 altogether. Here's the other 6 wandering stars. Okay, the moon keys. Here's they turned these women into cherubims later. Okay, there's the waters of there's the living the waters of life. Here's the throne. Okay, the one that can give you the crown. So if you see this is what it looks like. Okay, when the event happens. And you can see this is also the symbol of the Ankh. So this is where the Ankh comes from as well. The Egyptian symbol of the Ankh was based on the Saturn polar configuration. The Ankh is an image of the Saturn polar configuration. The Ankh was seen as a gateway or portal into a higher dimension. Remember, I told you every 12,900 years, okay, is the real changeover event. So, did something happen with Mars and Venus? Yeah, that was just for the end of that age. They was going from the age of Taurus, okay. Taurus and Libra are both ruled by Venus, okay. So they were going from the age where Venus was ruling to the age where Mars was ruling, and the Venus energy still beat Mars. That's what the story is about. The Venus energy still beat Mars. So the Mars people, the tribe of Aries went crazy and started murdering everybody everywhere. So the Ankh is known as the crux ansata. Okay, it's a symbol T oval. The oval is called the Ru. The Ru is often seen as a gateway or portal to another dimension, such as heaven. The Ankh therefore becomes a symbol of transition from one place to another. It outlived Egyptian domination and is widely used by Christians today as the Latin cross, as well as being linked to the Ankh. The Saturn polar configuration, aka pole shift, can be linked to other symbols. Probably the most recognizable Masonic symbol is the all-seeing eye, included in the architecture of the Great Seal of the U.S. dollar bill, fixed within a triangle. The disembodied eye is surrounded by rays of light and rests upon an unfinished pyramid. The all-seeing eye finds its roots in ancient Egypt as the Eye of Horus or Ra, and can be traced back to the Saturn polar configuration, aka pole shift. During the alignment of Saturn, Venus, and Mars in their different configurations, they formed a triangle and 8-pointed star. This right here, all right? Saturn, Venus, and Mars. Now, you see the 8-pointed star? All right. You see this, the symbol of the Great Mother. You see the tongue coming out. So that's the Ankh. What else is it? Let's look at some other symbology. It's also the squatter man right here. All right. When it's happening right here, you can see the hat of Baal, the hat of El, Osiris, all of them. This is Mars and Venus fighting, Adonis and Venus. Okay. Here's Asar right here. Got the hat on that you can see up here. Here's in Canaan, Osiris was known as Reshep, also called El. Okay, Saturn. So Osiris is actually Saturn, not Set. Okay, they flipped it on you. Asar, remember, the ruler of the golden light, the A to the U, the Alpha and Omega, that's him. The dark one. Set was the red man. Just like they flipped Jacob and Esau on you, Esau's Edom, Adam, that's the red man. So this is the dark one. Then they change it to green. No, it's the dark one, just like Saturn is the dark one. Okay, here's El, the dark one with the cone-shaped hat, because during the pole shift, that's what happened. Here's Baal with the cone-shaped hat, because it comes from what it looks like right here. As you can see, it's kind of small, but you can see it right there. Here's El again. Here's Baal Haman. Here's the Romanized Baal. Same thing. These are just different angles at different times of this event. Here's Zeus. I Zeus. He Zeus. Jesus. Right here. Same face. Here's some more pictures of what it looks like. Now, when they said the spear went into the side from Venus to Mars, it's this curl right here. That's the plasma. See Mars back here? Real little. Excuse me, that's Venus. Venus back here, real little. Well, here's Mars. Venus has a spiral coming with plasma. Bang! Hits Mars in the side. Plasma comes out of Mars. That's when they say Mars has no water. It's plasma coming out of Mars. Not that Mars ain't got no water. We're on a water world called Tiamat, aka the solar system. That's what it looks like. Here's where they get the bull of heaven in ancient Sumer. That's the symbol of Enlil, right here. Now, this is Cali. Okay, see her tongue out, and you see how this long red thing comes down and all these skeletons because it's plasma. Look, she got fire in her hand. The sun, see the sun behind her? That's this. That's this. This is her tongue. This right here is her tongue coming out. It's red. So Cali is just the Hindu way of telling this story. Oh, it's all evil and this and that. In the story of Cali, Cali unfurls her tongue in her role as the ultimate deliverer called upon to salvage a situation that seems hopelessly out of control, like the world is today. She's summoned by Durga herself to destroy the demon Rakta. There's that Ra again, whose name means blood seed. The demon Rakta had the magical ability to produce a double of himself instantly every time a drop of blood hits the ground. Sounds kind of like right here. Every time a little blood hits the ground, click, click, instantly can make a double of himself. Cali, who spreads her tongue across the battlefield and swallows in one gulp the swarm of the blood-borne demons. Here it is. There's all the hands of plasma. There's Saturn. These all represent the different planets right here, and more. Here's the what they call Atonism. You know, the hands coming down, basically showing that the false religions are dead too. That's right here. That's their hands. They all coincide. And there's the tongue, the plasma, and this long plasma coming down. That's Cali. Here's more symbolism of Cali. All right here. Here's more. As you can see, the spiral, that's the curl of Horus. You know how the Jews wear that curl down the side of their head? This is where they get it from. That's the curl of Horus coming from Venus. It's actually the curl of Venus. And here's the plasma coming out of Mars. That's Cali. Here's the symbology of Saturn right here, eclipsing the sun. Or the pole star, excuse me. There's the curl of Horus right here. That's why the Jews wear that curl down their side right here. Because the Kabbalists know this. You're learning stuff. You're learning right now. You're learning things that people join basically literally get stuck in time just to learn what you're learning here. Here's Medusa. The plasma is so hot it turns things to stone, including creatures like huge snakes and things, dragons. This is also Medusa with the tongue out. This is a coin from ancient Macedonia. They knew. Okay. About to wrap this part up. We'll finish the rest in part 3. But it was Saturn who introduced the day. What the Babylonians called Saturn's coming forth in splendor signified the beginning of the archaic day, meaning every time this Saturnic pole shift happens, that's the beginning, that's the Anu Mundi, the new world order. Saturn dominated the night and competed with the sunlight during the day. Mythical records are unanimous in saying that Saturn during his reign stood in the north, was the pole star, the Egyptian Ra, Osiris, and Horus, the Mesopotamian Ninurta, Enki, Anu, Shamash, the Hebrew or Ugaritic El, the Hindu Brahma, Vishnu, Varunu, Surya, the Chinese Huangti or Shangti, the Greek Kronos, all appear as stationary suns. They are described as fixed at the polar summit, meaning directly above magnetic north. Ra comes forth and diminishes Imhotep, which means while standing in one place. He comes forth and diminishes at the center, which is also the summit. Summit is Sumeria. Sumer means sum of Mer. Mer is the mother. That means the middle mother, the middle of our bowl. Okay, that's the summit, the celestial pole. Saturn was also the Babylonian Enlil. 2 stars erupted from the planet Saturn and caused the deluge. So says the Talmud. Saturn was a second sun, shining by day and night upon the earth. The record of the stars preserved in the legends of every ancient people. It was the dominating star of its age, and most of the basic mythology of the world is traceable to its varying aspects, behavior, and fate. After leaving its infinitely complex imprint upon Earth and mankind, Saturn exploded in a nova or collision. A deluge fell upon the earth, and Jupiter became king of the heavenly hosts. And folks, I think that is a perfect place to end part 2. Let me see if I can get out of here. Yes, baby.
I'm done.
Yes, we are finished with part 2 for this evening. As I told you guys, it's going to get better and better. Part 3 will be even better. We are just getting into it. We're just getting into the deepness of it. That's why I was telling you guys in part 1, I had to lay that foundation. So now we're getting closer and closer to where all of you will be able to know, not from the greatest of spirit, because of course you want to test the spirit, you want to test the vibration, the energy yourself, and you want to ask. Test, you just knock. That's it. Just knock. Just ask. It will be confirmed to you. Okay. It will be confirmed. You'll be told that, man, leave. Don't ever go back to that guy's page. He is just full of crap. Or most of you already know. If you're here, you already know. I would go as far as say all of you already know. But this concludes part 2 of this series and this teaching. You are in school right now, y'all. This is school. Okay? Look at this guy back here. I was gonna say something, I ain't gonna say it. But I love y'all. Saying I love y'all as always.
Katina.
Huh?
Katina.
She said Kachina.
Katina.
How she know that? How she know about Kachina? See? Telling you to enter, the realm of heaven. You gotta come as a child. I don't talk to her about that. That's the original soul right there. I've never told her anything about the red Kachina, blue Kachina. You hear what she just said? Kachina. If that ain't confirmation, I don't know what is. But I love you guys. Always and always. You are connected to the greatest of spirit. You have nothing to worry about. Even if your family members, your relatives, those that you love, they don't get it. Ultimately, if you truly care and love them, you'll be the best you. You'll tap into your higher self. That is the best and highest thing that you can do. Not sit there and bicker with them and try to convince them. The truth needs no convincing. It's just, when are they ready to universal? You don't chase love. You don't chase anything. You chase runs from you. If you chase the truth, it's going to run from you. It's going to evade you. If you be still and resonate with it and become that, then it will come to you. If you become love, love will come to you. If you become truth and honesty, then the truth and honesty will come to you. If I chased my baby around all day, she would run from me, be scared of me, wouldn't be love. But because I embody love, love comes to me. I can be still and open my hands and receive as the great mother, as the feminine energy. Okay. I love you all. Part 3. I know last time I said tomorrow, but I'm going to let this ride for 24 hours and then, so give it one day to marinate, and then I'll come back on. But I love you all. As always, if you're compelled to, help out financially, I'll post the links and pin the comment. All right. So, may set to all.
Peace. And I can do something. Look.